Hello, in this video we're going to talk about really basic conditional loops. And if you know how to do conditional structures, you already know how to do conditional loops. So there's two broad classifications of loops. There are conditional loops and counted loops. Conditional loops are while loops, and you'll hear about while loops in a variety of programming languages. We tend to use while loops when we do not know in advance how many times the loop will run. So conditional loops are in fact really useful for situations where you want to error check an input. And down here, we're going to take this little example and modify it so that it uses a conditional loop to continually ask the user the question until they input something that is valid. So if you've done conditional statements, this should make sense. You take an input for age, and then if the age is less than or equal to 0, we say you can't be that, please input your real age. So if I run this right now, what is my age? -4. You can't be -4. Okay, I'm 45. No problems. Now there's a little problem with that in terms of if I put my age, I put -4, and if I put -4 again, remember that if statement is only evaluated once, so it exits and my age has been stored as -4, which doesn't make sense. So to change this conditional statement into a conditional loop, we replace the word if with the word while. And that's it. What happens now is when we reach the conditional loop structure, we evaluate the Boolean expression. True, we enter loop. False, we skip loop. Just like an if statement. The only difference is that when we get to the bottom, when we reach the end of the loop code, we evaluate the Boolean expression again. And now what we do is if it's true, we repeat loop, and if it's false, we exit loop and move on. So what happens now if I run my program, what is my age? I put -4. Please input your real age. -3. Please input your real age. -2. 45. That's all there is to it. Now just a last little point is, again, if you know how to write conditional statements, you know how to write conditional loops. Let's imagine that I wanted to modify the condition slightly so that it only took numbers between 1 and 100 inclusive. So I could write here if age is less than or equal to 0 or age is greater than 100. Because what this means now is that if the person enters something less than or equal to 0 or if they enter something greater than 100, we'll repeat. And we can watch that now if I run this. What is your age? 103. You can't be that. What is your real age? 145. -3. 10. And there we go. In our next video, we'll look at a slightly different situation where we use a conditional loop to take a summation. And the main point is that with that case, we won't actually take the input before we enter the loop. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.